and gentlemen, I'm going to ask that whoever is not in their seat, can you please get seated as we get ready to welcome our guests of honor for our dinner tonight. Should I say a big thank you to the band? Thank you guys so much. You've been absolutely wonderful. We look forward to hearing more from you later tonight. Well, thank you so much. Good evening to everybody that has made the time to join us tonight for the SANEF Fundraiser. My name is Kathy Mutlatlana, and I have the duty of being your MC tonight. I hope that you are going to have fun while I try to make sure that everything stays on time. And hopefully by the end of the evening, we would all be a little better off, given the expectation we have with our keynote speaker for tonight. Let me begin by addressing the elephant in the room. Yes, I know, we all care about justice and media freedom and all that jazz. But I know what really compelled you to be here tonight, after the week we've had, is that you're hoping that one of the journalists in this room will be able to tell us why our national couple has decided to call it quits. I know that you want the Sunday papers tomorrow to be covered in a full spread with a 10-point plan of fail-proof measures in times of crisis, such as facing imminent divorce, and how exactly we as a country are getting them back together again. Am I right or am I right? That's, of course, on the lighter side of things, but again goes to show that journalism is not just about the blood and gore. It's what influences our lives, and in many ways, what shapes our lives. And today, we gathered here, convened by the South African National Editors Forum, a dedicated advocacy organization for press freedom and the advancement of ethical journalism, and all of it in pursuit of creating a better and a stronger sector. So on that note, you are officially welcomed to the 2024 SANEF Fundraiser. You can give yourself a warm round of applause. As South Africa commemorates 30 years of its democracy, this year's gala also reflects on the same. In particular, the significance of this democracy and what it has meant for media freedom. Under the theme, 30 Years of Democracy, a Journey of Freedom and the Unyielding Power of Media in South Africa. It's also an opportunity to commemorate Black Wednesday, which we mark on the 19th of October. That, of course, continues to tell the story of the challenges that journalists face on a day-to-day basis, so that we can have access to all the news we need when we need it. It's therefore fitting that, as the Fourth Estate, this year we're in the same room with somebody who is an accomplished and well-respected member of another executive arm of this country. Of course, we are self-appointed executive, right? But she, of course, plays a critical role in our judiciary, and we know just how much of a role the justice system has played in protecting media freedom and protecting journalists in this country. I know that tonight we were all expecting to hear from Chief Justice Mandisa Maya. Before you sigh with disappointment, don't do it. Don't do it just yet. Because although she couldn't be with us, she's left us in really great company nonetheless. And I would like us to please acknowledge our keynote speaker for tonight, the President of the Supreme Court of Appeal. Yes, you can give her a round of applause. And of course, Judge Mulimela is going to be giving us our keynote address tonight and helping us understand and unpack, well, not quite the state of the judiciary, but her own reflections on the theme that we have given her. Without wasting any further time, please allow me to welcome onto stage the current chairperson of SANEF, Ms. Nwabisa Makunga, who's going to be giving us a lay of the land and an expectation, a tone for tonight. As always, she looks lovely. Let's give her a warm round of applause as she comes up on stage.
Thank you. Ooh. Yeah. Sorry, I just need to get my sorted. Wow, Kathy, thank you so much. You look lovely yourself, by the way, and thank you so much for always being here with us. And thank you to everybody who is here. I just want to greet the President of the Supreme Court of Appeal, Judge Mulimela. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We just really had a very interesting conversation outside in the holding room about the media, the role of the media, the performance of the media, and whether or not we can be trusted. Very, very interesting conversation, which I think she'll probably share a lot more on that later on. The ABSA Group Chief Marketing Officer, Mr. Sidney Mbele, as well as your colleagues, all our sponsors who have made this event possible for us. Thank you so much for always being here to support us. Your support of this organization, I want to affirm that it really goes a long way to strengthening the craft of journalism, the service that we do, our constitutional democracy, and really promoting a transparent society. My colleagues at SANEF, our Deputy Chair, Chamano Makadi, the SANEF Executive and Council, and of course our colleagues in our office who are led by our Executive Director. Thank you again for all your hard work in having made this beautiful evening happen. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight we gather for the last of our annual public calendar events for SANEF. And perhaps I should say what a year it has been for all of us. Our country marked 30 years of our democracy. Many of us as individuals, communities, and institutions reflected on the journey that we've traveled in the last 3 decades. We reflected on the progress of the democratic project, the fundamental rights that we all have that define our freedom, our responsibility, and our coexistence. We reflected on our nation's development, the structure of our economy, the landscape of our society more broadly. We certainly are not where we were as a nation, and for that we should be grateful. But colleagues, we certainly are not where we ought to be, and for that we all must account. We pondered as SANEF and various other institutions on the concept of access, how it shapes our trajectory, access or lack thereof to information, to opportunities, to systems that define or decide our sustainability and our future. In the media space this year was a reminder of the important role that we play and the role we ought to play in the public information system. This role was perhaps best captured by the Supreme Court of Appeal, now led by our esteemed guest of honor, when the court in 2017 affirmed our freedom of expression and described the relationship between the media and society as follows. The right of the media, or the freedom of expression, is one of a web of mutually supporting rights that hold up the fabric of our constitutional order. The right is not limited to the right to speak, but it is also the right to receive information and ideas. The media hold a key position in society. They are not only protected by the right of freedom of expression, but they are also the key facilitator and guarantor of this right. The media's right to freedom of expression is therefore not just or even primarily for the benefit of the media. It is for the benefit of the public. Close quote. Colleague SANEF believes that in order for us as journalists and media practitioners to play this role meaningfully, journalism has quite a lot to get right, but I just want to touch on three things that we do need to get right. One, we must develop the right skills to respond to the information needs of our society. We must promote access to information more broadly. And of course, we must remain sustainable. SANEF recognizes that much more needs to be done to capacitate newsrooms and individual media practitioners to do the work accurately, fairly, and with the level of depth and nuance that helps us all make sense of our world. This is partly what we were talking about in the holding room, about just how we do our work and how that work actually impacts society. Many times we get it right, and I'm proud to say that. But there are times where we get it wrong, and we need to account for that. But to do this right as an industry, we must be proactive, have foresight, and make the necessary interventions. And I think this is the work that SANEF has been really grappling with over time. And I think having the privilege of leading this organization for a few months now, I've seen really the important work that we need to do to ensure that we play the role we need to play for society in a way that is meaningful and impactful. So take this year's election, for example. Many newsrooms had to contend with the difficult reality to cover South Africa's most complex, most contested election with significantly fewer teams and the least amount of collective institutional experience, and to throw a spanner in the works at a time when disinformation, electoral disinformation, was perhaps at its highest. This is why SANEF invested in training workshops across the country, as well as developing our information portal to capacitate our newsrooms to be able to do this work. And I really want to thank all our colleagues and partners, including the Electoral Commission, who really made this work possible for us. The industry, the feedback that we've received from the industry was quite meaningful, so thank you. Similarly, we also recognize that we need to get the South African media landscape fit for purpose. If we're to do that, we need to partner with various players to build technical and reporting capacities for areas of public interest. So for example, be it financial journalism, and you've seen some of the work that we've done as far as fellowships for financial journalism, be it climate change, which is one of our most pressing challenges that we have to grapple with, or even reporting on indigenous languages. And I think in this respect, we're quite grateful for the partnership that we're developing with academia. the University of the Northwest, essentially saying to us, we will help you develop a curriculum, academic program that helps reporters really be able to report in indigenous languages. And the reason why that is important is because we firmly believe in the principle of making information accessible to the public. We need to broaden accessibility of information and making sure that South Africans are able to make informed decisions about their life. We are pleased to report on this vein, colleagues, that SANEF has consistently said one of the things we need to do is support community media. And I think a lot of the work that we've done this year, really kind of focused on that. A program to support community media across the country with relevant tools and expertise to conduct their businesses sustainably has benefited no fewer than 15 organizations to date. This is people powered by how much you support SANEF and what we are able to do for colleagues in that space. 35 other entities have been given access to this model to ensure that they're able to actually self-develop. And I really, again, want to express my sincere gratitude to our office as well as all the other colleagues who've made this work possible. We keep talking and will forever talk about the sustainability of journalism. It is truly our most pressing mandate, yes, in South Africa, but essentially across the globe. As a result, many of you would have seen us. We've begun to knock on your doors to get some support for the establishment of our Journalism Sustainability Fund. Some of you would have seen in the media, we've really started to talk about it. We started to have conversations with different stakeholders to ensure that we get the support to get the fund going. This fund is to support public interest journalism through grants and to ensure that the work that we do is no longer vulnerable to the economic complexities that face us as media practitioners. A significant amount of work has gone into this project to get it up and running. Our office, together with our lawyers, are really making sure that we tick all the boxes in ensuring that we adhere to our laws as well as our fiduciary duties as an institution as we continue to set up these structures. We've been really humbled by the support that we've received from various organizations who are committed and who really want to see journalism thrive in South Africa. I personally am immensely grateful for all the support that I have received from our colleagues, particularly in the last year as we continue to lead this project. I think perhaps many of them would be here. Isaac, Reggie at our office, Sbu. These are people who've really kind of carried this work to ensure that we get it over the line. And colleagues, I want to say that your efforts are not in vain. Absolutely not. They're essential building blocks, laying the foundation of a better future for journalism. A future that serves the South African public with agility, excellence, and credibility. Ladies and gentlemen, none of this work is possible without you supporting this organization, without you supporting the craft of journalism. And so today I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for all that you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for ensuring us that every single step we take in protecting this craft that we love so much, we do have good backing from yourselves. And we really wish you every success and prosperity in your work and the endeavors that you've taken. Thank you very much for keeping journalism alive. Jabulel. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much for that address, Nwabisa. As you were sitting here reflecting on where we are as a country with the media landscape, I was just looking at you and I thought, the story of South Africa 30 years on, yes, there have been many, many challenges, but look at this. Here is the chairperson of the South African National Editors Forum, addressing us in a platform where we have two of the country's biggest courts led by women, and not just women, but African women. Surely we have to acknowledge that as part of our story. It's certainly a far cry from the picture that we had in 1994, when only 2 of the judges, 156 judges in the country, only 2 of them were female. So yes, we're not there yet, but the story of how to transform our country cannot be lost on us as we mark 30 years. On that note, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, and I promise SANEF is not a political organization, but on the program it says message of support. So I know we often see those when there's an official program of government underway. I can confirm that our next guest is also not a politician as far as I know, but he is a trusted voice within the political space. He holds multiple qualifications, including a PhD in political science. He is the chairman of MENA. It has controlling stakes in multiple entities. He's an experienced business leader, and when he's bored, he writes articles telling us what to do about getting this country back on track. So in a moment, he'll be coming up on stage to give us his message of support. Before that, I'm going to ask you to turn your eyes to the screen as we acknowledge our sponsors for tonight.
Our stories begin right here, and we never write them alone. Sometimes we write them with someone who puts our story first. Other times with someone who puts their own story first. There'll be pages we love to read again and again, and some we'll barely remember. Sometimes we feel like the hero of our story, and other times, not. There are stories of dreamers, stories of creators, stories of strivers, stories of believers, and we're inspired by them all. That's why we invite you to write your story with us. Your story matters.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Katie, for the lovely introduction. I would like to acknowledge and greet Judge President Molemela and another fellow former judge who's here, Jerome Ngwenya. He left the bench, but I'm proud to say I serve with him at MENA as a board member. And other colleagues from MENA who are here, and fellow colleagues from the media industry and other stakeholders, our co-sponsors for this event, I greet you all. It is a privilege to be standing here in support of SANEF. For me, I've got lots of mixed feelings about it, because one foot of mine remains in the media, even though I have technically crossed the floor as a chairman of a private investment company, but I remain sort of loyal to the media. From time to time, as Katie says, I still show where my loyalty is, my other half loyalty is. But being here also says something about the importance of the media and the private sector in working together for the common good. Someone might say, but you were at SANEF and you were editor of the Sowetan, now you're the chairman of MENA, and suddenly now MENA is being sponsored, MENA is sponsoring SANEF. Are you not conflicted? I call it the continuity of interest, not the conflict of interest. It's a continuity of interest because as the private sector who are conscious of where the country is at the moment and what the country needs, we have to acknowledge that we are part of an ecosystem. An ecosystem, by its very nature, means it is composed of interdependent elements. You upset one element, the entire ecosystem fails. So media freedom, political parties, civil society, a thriving private sector, ethical journalists, all of those things work together in an ecosystem that is balanced. And it's an ecosystem that should work within the ambit of our constitution. So we are very happy as MENA to support SANEF, and we say, SANEF, may you grow further in your agenda to advance media freedom and ethical journalism. Without that, our democracy will be in jeopardy. Before I sit, I want to say a few remarks about judges. Kathy, you have mentioned that we still have a long way to go in ensuring proper gender representation and proper transformation of the judiciary. However, a huge milestone has been made. I remember in 2005, a certain young journalist who had hair at the time but didn't have beard. Rumor has it now that he has got beard but he has no hair. That journalist covered the successful appointment of the current Chief Justice, Mandisa Maya. At the time, Maya was taking her first major role in the Supreme Court of Appeal. She first arrived in that court on the 15th of February 2005. And she told this journalist, whose name I shall not mention, except that he now has no hair but has got beard. So he told this journalist that when she first arrived at the court, a lot of the general workers, including the cleaners, were saying to her that, listen, you are using the wrong entrance of the court. Please use the right entrance. First, she didn't understand what this was all about. It went on for the whole week. They were correcting her, the gardeners. Please don't use that entrance. It's not for you. It's for other people. And it dawned on her that actually, they just didn't know that actually someone like her could be in that court. For them, it was unusual. It was unbelievable that someone of her gender and color could be in that court. That's how she became, when she became the first African woman to step into that court. And that journalist who at the time had hair and had no beard covered that story. And I want to say to Molemela, at least Judge Molemela, that at least by the time you arrived, no one asked you that you were on the wrong entrance. That's the role of the media. We bring things to the light of the public. And as the corporate sector, we sponsor and make sure that the media thrives. It doesn't mean that we have to agree. The whole idea of the ecosystem is that there must be tension. But the tension must be containable. It must not break the ecosystem apart. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mpumelelo. And it's good that you declared your interest and your former involvement with SANEF, just so that there are no stories tomorrow, of course, under the 10-point plan as another exclusive or expose. We're ready to get into our starters for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a serious gathering. You're in a room full of journalists. You don't really trust what's going to happen tonight. You're not sure if you're allowed to crack a joke or not. You don't know if what you say just in conversation is going to end up giving somebody a clue to a story. And to make it worse, there's a SANEF representative at all of the tables. So it's still a bit awkward. So let me confirm and put you at ease. Everything that is said in this room tonight is off the record. Never mind their cameras. They're just here for vibes. Judge President, I can't say the same for you, of course. You might just end up on the front page of the covers either way. But to everybody else, please let your hair down, relax. We're going to have a lovely evening. With that said, starters are going to officially be served. I see some of them are already on the tables. During the starters, the waiters will go around. They'll be taking your menu and your drinks orders. Please get all of that in now. You won't have another opportunity to do it. We only serve one drink tonight. We'll serve 2 drinks next year when you double the budget allocation for SANEF. I'm just teasing. Starters are officially served, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy.
One of these mornings, you gonna rise up singing. Yes, you spread your wings and you take to the sky. Till that morning, there's nothing can harm you. Yes, with Daddy and Mommy standing by.
Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your ma is good looking.
Why don't you say, oh,
So hush, little baby,
oh yeah.
baby, don't you cry.
Oh, don't you cry. Oh, don't you cry. Oh, don't you cry.
All right. 1, 2, 3. I'll go with that. I think it sounded like
Oh, like
taking a break and you more speeches.
We got the keynote speech. Because we started late, I want us to catch up with the program. So I'm going to invite the keynote speaker now, and then we'll do the next part here. Testing. I'm going to ask that we all please get resettled in our seats as we get ready to continue with the second part of our program tonight. Can I ask you to tell the technical guys to play the AV? Oh wait, I think one of them is walking to the front. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful, thank you.
How so many know so little.
About where we are all coming from.
And how things
used to be. Where life as we're living it was nothing but a dream.
how we could not live.
Where we live.
How we live.
And why we live. How we couldn't love.
Who we love. What we love.
And how we love.
How the challenges we are currently facing
Are just a drop in the ocean.
to the challenges we used to face
How what we have accomplished,
could have never been accomplished.
how even though it might not seem that way,
We have come really far
in leaps and bounds.
for us to be where we are right now.
Be proud to be South African.
Be proud of who we are.
Because you
And our beautiful country.
are in a way better place by far.
Oh, South Africa. South Africa.
An acknowledgement to Brand South Africa, who is one of our sponsors for tonight. Yes, you can give them a round of applause. Please go ahead and do that. I'm going to ask that we all please settle down. I know it's quite an evening because imagine trying to keep order in a room full of journalists. What are we even thinking? So I'm going to ask everybody to please settle down as we continue with our program. Up next, I want to invite onto stage our platinum sponsors for this event. And earlier, I had a word or two with one of the officials from ABSA. And I said, well, thank you for sponsoring the fundraiser. And they boldly responded and said, well, we sponsor this event every year. This is who we are. So ABSA, we acknowledge you as our platinum sponsor for the SANEF Fundraiser and continue doing the excellent work that you're doing, I'm going to invite onto stage Mr. Sydney Mbele, who's the ABSA Group Chief Marketing and Corporate Affairs Officer, who's going to give us just a couple of words and perhaps even help us understand why ABSA continues to believe in what the work of journalists are doing, especially because we know that you understand that our stories matter.
Our guest of honor, Judge President Mlemela, the SANEF executive, members of the media, esteemed guests, greetings to you all. There's an infamous black and white photograph of a young Percy Qoboza, surrounded by 3 apartheid security police officers outside his offices in Industrial. Dressed in a pinstripe shirt with an animal print tie, Qoboza appeared courageously undeterred as he was being detained following the midnight outlawing of 18 organizations, including the Union of Black Journalists, as well as 3 newspapers, 2 of which he himself edited. It is ironic that just 2 days later, on the 21st of October, 1977, an editorial written by Percy Qoboza would appear in the New York Times, entitled, "In South Africa, Black Misery." In it, he wrote, and I quote, "It is never too late to do the right thing. It is never too late to transform the might of South Africa into the might of justice and dignity for all." In many ways, these words continue to echo the mandate for the media today. Standing as unwavering pillar of democracy, human rights, sustainable development, and of course, the rule of law. They remind us of our profound responsibility to uphold the truth and to be the voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. So colleagues, as we gather here tonight, we are not just celebrating your achievements. We are honoring the sacrifices of those who came before us, like Percy Qoboza. We remember the courage of pioneers who faced unimaginable adversity with unwavering resolve. Their legacy is our guiding light, inspiring us to continue telling the stories of our communities with passion and with empathy. This year holds special significance for us as a nation as we commemorate the 47th anniversary of Black Wednesday. It is a poignant reminder of the resilience and enduring spirit of those who dedicated their lives to the pursuit of justice and dignity for all. So as we reflect on the past 30 years of our democracy, we do so with a sense of pride. The media has undoubtedly played an indispensable role in shaping our society, ensuring that democracy and media freedom are inextricably linked. continuously teaching us that for a democracy to flourish, protecting the freedom of the press is essential. So we honor all of those sacrifices of the men and women who have devoted their lives to upholding this truth and accountability. Their work not only informs us, but empowers us. They ensure that we as a society are equipped with the knowledge to challenge injustice, hold power to account, and to shape the cause of our ever-evolving democracy. Beyond just delivering information, the media acts as a beacon of transparency, a guardian of public discourse, and a catalyst for change, driving progress in our political, economic, social, and cultural spheres. But we must also acknowledge the challenging environment that we all find ourselves in, the rise of social media, and the growing reliance on citizen journalism from unverified sources which have blurred the lines between credible reporting and unchecked misinformation. Artificial intelligence and deep fakes have further complicated this, making it increasingly difficult for audiences to discern fact from fabrication or fiction. In this climate, the role of professional journalists as gatekeepers of truth has never been more critical. Yet, they operate under immense pressure from shrinking newsrooms, reduced resources, and changing business models, meaning that they are expected to do more with less. So, Kathy, that's why at APSA, we continue to support these initiatives for the media and with SANEF, because we recognize the critical role they play in telling stories that inspire change, that uphold accountability, and reinforce the rule of law. It is not a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen, that earlier this year we repositioned our brand and organization with the new tagline, "Your Story Matters." It matters because each and every one of us here, before we become journalists, before we become executives in business, before we become a judge president, a community, or whichever role we play in society, we all have our own stories. In line with our goal of being an active force for good, we also know that it is through collaborations like these that we can advance the interests of our country and continent by empowering Africa's tomorrow together, one story at a time. This year also marks 28 years since the formation of SANEF, which was established to protect these hard-won freedoms and to promote media ethics. In that breath, I want to conclude, I want to commend and support on behalf of my organization these efforts by SANEF in sustaining and enhancing media freedom as a cornerstone of our democracy. We wish you well as you continue to pursue this worthy cause and telling the stories of our country and its people. For you too, SANEF, your story matters.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Mbele, for really highlighting why this is such a fitting partnership Of course, APSA is our platinum sponsor, but they're not the only sponsors for tonight. Everybody that has gone ahead to buy a seat at a table is helping towards advance the cause of sustainability of this industry. And just perhaps to build on what Mr. Mbele has said, the Media Defence Fund has really been instrumental. So a night like this is not just about the dinner and the networking that will take place. There are journalists who have had to sacrifice with their lives in the course of duty. This fund has supported some of the high-profile cases you may have seen in our media. Karen Moore versus Jacob Zuma, Riot Tlatswayo versus Mpumalanga Police Commissioner, and Amabungane versus the Moti Group. All of these stories are stories that many of us in the room will be very aware of, and the fight that those journalists are currently waging in the courts would not be possible without your support and without an evening like tonight. So please, if you're on the fence, still thinking about it, it is absolutely a worthy cause. You help make media freedom great and strong in this country. Let's get then to the main business of order tonight. Our keynote speaker has a legal career spanning a number of decades. Started off in 1987 with her appointment as a public prosecutor in Tabanchu. It's 37 years that she has been a legal practitioner. She served as a legal profession, as a prosecutor rather, attorney, arbitrator, and a lecturer. She was appointed as military judge in 2004. She acted as the acting judge of the High Court at the of the High Court on an ad hoc basis between 2005 and 2008. She took a permanent appointment at the Free State Division of the High Court in July 2008. She also served as a judge of the Labour Appeal Court, an acting judge of the Competition Appeal Court, and an acting justice of the Constitutional Court for 2 terms in 2015. She was appointed as the first female judge president of the Free State Division of the High Court of South Africa in 2015 and served in that capacity until the 1st of June 2018 when she joined the Supreme Court of Appeal. She was appointed as the president of the Supreme Court on the 1st of June 2023. There's a lot more I can say about our esteemed keynote speaker tonight, but Justice, if you'll allow me to pause it there and ask the room to please stand on your feet. Let's give her the warmest round of applause we can give her. She says she doesn't like talking in front of journalists, so if we're not nice, she might only speak for 5 minutes. So we have to let her know that she's in good company and she's absolutely welcome on this platform. Judge President of the Supreme Court of Appeal, Justice Mulimela.
The leadership of SANEF, the executive of APSA, all the sponsors of SANEF, journalists in the room, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is a profound honor for me to stand before you this evening as SANEF celebrates 30 years of democracy and media freedom in South Africa. Kathy is right. there is a whole lot to celebrate about our democracy and the 30 years since the advent of that democracy in 1994. And the evidence of the strides that have been made in those years is clear from the judiciary. And as she correctly pointed out, the two highest courts in the country are headed by females, but that's not the end of it. The majority of judges president of the different divisions are females. So a lot has been achieved. I have been requested to say a few words on challenges in the digital age to media freedom and the judiciary. I stand here before you tonight as a substitute for the Chief Justice Mandi Samaya, who could unfortunately not accept your invitation to be the keynote speaker tonight on account of exigencies of her office at this point in time. I must confess, and I mentioned this to a few people in the holding room, that I've made a few speeches, not a few actually, and many, in my capacity as the Chancellor of the Central University of Technology, and in my capacity as the Judge President of the Free State High Court, as well as the President of the Supreme Court of Appeal. I must really confess that I'm filled with a measure of trepidation tonight, because the audience largely consists of members of the media. I have always shied away from the media, largely because back in the day as youngsters, our teachers used to caution us that, quote, the media will make you and then break you, unquote. So obviously I wanted none of that. But of course, I could not refuse when my boss, and I say this fondly when I say boss, when she requested me to do the honors. I agree, I'm old school, and there's no request that I can ever refuse when it comes to from my boss. As a matter of fact, when I served articles of clerkship, I served them under the late Jake Molloy, who was an attorney back then. I got to the bench before him. After a few years, I encouraged him to make himself available, and he joined the bench. And so on the bench, I was actually his senior. But in my mind, he was still my boss, because he used to be my boss. And so each time he walked into my chamber, I would stand up. And each time he phoned me, even if it was not a video call, I would actually stand up. And so I think he knew, the esteem, the high esteem in which I held him. And maybe sometimes he took advantage of it, I don't know. But I do remember that he knew that when he walked into my chamber and I was on the phone, I would immediately terminate the call. So one day he came in and I was speaking to the Chief Justice, and so I signaled to him, "It's the Chief Justice." And then he took a seat, crossed his legs and said, "Well, then tell him to finish quickly." Yeah, may his soul rest in peace. So apprehensive or not, here I am. I must, as I usually do, start this speech with what I call a disclaimer. And it is this, that from my point of view, asking a judge in active service to give a keynote address may sometimes be a disservice to an audience, because he or she may not meet the expectation of the audience. I'm looking for Kathy, I can't see her. Oh, there she is. I know she created a lot of hype. And this is exactly what I mean. Since judges are known to squarely deal with issues raised in their cases and that they mince no words when doing so, I mean, in the text of our judgments, we call a spade a spade. The expectation, therefore, might be that a judge would not, in the course of giving a keynote address, pull any punches in giving an opinion on topical issues. This does not mean that we as judges do not have personal views. Of course we do, because in the course of executing our duties, we hear things, we see things, but some of them cannot be mentioned in our judgments simply because they were not legitimately brought to our attention in compliance with the constitutional imperative of a fair trial. Under those circumstances, we bite our tongues and wait for the right case with the right facts and evidence before we can formally express ourselves on the issues that have been raised. This is because the judiciary is reactive by its very nature. As I see it, our judicial code of conduct does not allow judges a lot of room to maneuver in relation to what they can say off the bench. And you will say off the record. So depending on the circumstances, when we are invited as keynote speakers, we end up erring on the side of caution by saying less than what we otherwise would, with the attendant risk of merely stating the obvious. There's a view that the judiciary should be, quote, ring-fenced or quarantined from conflicts, unquote, and refrain from being involved in controversies through extracurricular statements made by judges, except in relation to proven facts which are already in the public domain. I subscribe to this cautious approach, even though I am fully aware that journalists have different views, divergent views regarding the circumstances under which judges may safely make extracurricular statements. I guess the jury is still out on that aspect. I know that was quite a long preamble, but it needed to be put forward in my view. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm aware that the relationship between the media and the judiciary and the interdependence of these two institutions is an aspect that was comprehensively traversed on this platform last year. I will therefore not traverse the same ground today, save to acknowledge that without an independent judiciary and media, our democracy would probably collapse. Today, the theme of this auspicious event is 30 years of democracy, a journey of freedom and the unyielding power of the media in South Africa. Even in moments like these, when we can pat ourselves on the back for what media freedom has achieved in our country in the past 30 years, we still remember the tyranny that preceded this freedom, and rightly so, for it is these sad memories that make us appreciate the true value of media freedom. So allow me to go back in time, if only for a bit. We remember a time before 1994 when accurate and truthful information about the state of our country was not as accessible as it is today, and how media crackdowns and calculated propaganda were the norm. We recall how attempts at disseminating accurate information regarding abuses of power, inequality, and the atrocities that a significant part of our nation was subjected to were met with swift crackdowns. We remember Donald Woods and Steve Biko and how these two anti-apartheid activists were targeted by the apartheid government, tragically leading to Biko's death and Wu's being banned from reporting and later having to flee the country, also rightly acknowledging that there are many more journalists and activists who suffered similar and worse fates. We recall how having access to accurate information and sharing it displaced people, resulted in detentions without trial, and had deadly consequences with impunity. But despite the apartheid government's best efforts to eradicate the journalistic efforts of those activists, the information still reached the target audience in one way or another. We remember the time when the dissemination of truthful and accurate information would lead to the banning of publications. Yes, there was a time when media freedom was merely a dream that existed alongside our dream for freedom from all other forms of oppression and a deep yearning for a democracy. Today, we live in a country in which media freedom is, by all accounts, jealously guarded. Given our history, we can indeed attest to how a free press is a vital tool to the sustenance of democracy. What an arduous journey it has been to get where we are today, and how privileged we are to live in a country in which freedom of expression is enshrined in our Constitution. In the context of the media, freedom of expression seeks to balance the rights of reporters and those being reported on so as to ensure continued access to accurate information for all. This means that journalists must present news in context, ensuring balanced reporting that contains no distortion and exaggeration. In particular, they must give all sides of a story a fair hearing. This is what ethical journalism dictates. I cannot overemphasize the importance of hearing both sides of the story. This principle is so sacred. I know now I'm getting into dangerous territory because I'm going to refer to the Bible, but I do read it. So allow me to refer to it as I would refer to any other book. Based on my reading of the Bible, I know at least two examples of how God was prepared to hear the other side of the story in circumstances when He, as an omnipresent being, obviously already knew the answers. In the first story, it is stated that after Cain had killed his brother Abel, God still asked him where his brother was, even though he knew that he had killed him. In a different story in the same chapter, we know of Adam and Eve who lived in the garden and were told not to eat the forbidden fruit. And one day they did eat the forbidden fruit, and then they hid in the garden. And obviously, God, being omnipresent, knew what had happened. He still asked Adam where he was. And when he said he was hiding, he still asked him why he was hiding. So it is of significance to me that beyond the religious realm, long before the advent of the Constitution, our law in South Africa recognized the audi alteram partem rule, which means, loosely translated, listen to the other side. It recognized it as one of the primary principles of natural justice. As to whether this principle was always applied by our courts in the past is a debate for another day. We are truly privileged, ladies and gentlemen, to have a constitution that discourages propaganda, incitement of violence, and any attempts to promote hate-centered advocacy based on race, ethnicity, gender, or religion that constitutes the incitement to cause harm. In Kumalo and others versus Holomisa, the Constitutional Court described the right to freedom of expression as follows, and I quote, "The right to freedom of expression is integral to a democratic society for many reasons. It is constitutive of the dignity and autonomy of human beings. Moreover, without it, the ability of citizens to make responsible political decisions and to participate effectively in public life would be stifled," unquote. Over the years, we have had to move with the times. Alas, with the advent of the digital age, a fly landed in the ointment. In this modern era, we face a new challenge, the social media terror of misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, and threats for speaking up. The coarse, acute awareness of the shift that came with the dissemination of information in the digital age was captured as follows in the case of Van Breda versus Media 24 Limited and others, and I quote, "For even as we grapple with television in the courtroom, there are many, particularly young viewers, who are increasingly turning to the internet to keep up to date with news and current affairs. Many people now use social media as their main source of information, resulting in a shift in how information is disseminated and received. As McLachlan CJ observed, the explosive growth of new media signals a shift in who reports on legal proceedings. Court decisions may no longer be the preserve of trained professional journalists. Anyone with a keyboard and access to a blog can now be a reporter. And who is to say they are not? Some bloggers will be professionals and academics providing thoughtful commentary and analysis. Others will fall short of basic journalistic standards. Will accuracy and fairness be casualties of the social media era? What will be the consequences for public understanding of the administration of justice and confidence in the judiciary? How can a medium such as Twitter inform the public accurately or adequately in 140 characters or less? If witness or juror contamination is a concern with television, is it not even more so with ubiquitous social media accessed or received automatically via a handheld device? Unquote. So the reference there is made to Twitter that was long before the days of X. It is indisputable that the abundance of data in the online space, which has increased exponentially due to the algorithm-based technologies, poses serious risks to privacy. Indeed, the reality is that a click of a button potentially makes us vulnerable to misinformation and disinformation. This brings to mind a statement attributed to Winston Churchill, which still rings true today, that, and I quote, "A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on," unquote. Misinformation, and this statement was made long before the advent of social media. Misinformation and disinformation are so easily disseminated in the digital space that no matter how strong our constitutional safeguards may be, we may still fall prey to the snares of propagandists who seek to undermine the Bill of Rights that constitute the fruit of our hard-won democracy. An example that comes to mind is fake news on social media platforms. It is concerning to see the ease with which falsehoods are circulated on social media platforms without any real consequences. Lately, we have seen an increase, and the gentleman from APSA alluded to this. We have seen an increase in AI-generated deepfake content. Fake news is worrisome, to say the least, because it has the propensity to threaten not only the very essence of media freedom, but to reverse the gains that were made in respect of the right to privacy, which in turn impacts the enjoyment of all other freedoms enshrined in our Constitution. In her book entitled The Smear, which was authored in 2017, Cheryl Atkinson, an American journalist, alludes to some of the digital age challenges that allegedly bedeviled previous election campaigns in America. She says the following in relation to how social media can be used for ulterior motives, and I quote, "As social media has become an unavoidable part of modern life, it has proven the perfect conduit for mass astroturf campaigns. But in truth, astroturf has been a part of the smear playbook for years. Plainly speaking, astroturf is when political, corporate, or other special interests disguise themselves and try to represent their causes as being genuine groundswells of support by ordinary people. Astroturfers write blogs, use social media, publish ads and letters to the editor, pay people to form protests or demonstrate as crowds, or simply post comments online to try to fool you into thinking an independent or grassroots movement is speaking. They use college professors and scientists, non-profits, government, doctors and university researchers, public officials, news, and scientific publications. If there's a way to co-opt a mode of communication or a group of communications, they have figured out how to do it. The whole point of astroturf is to try to give the impression that there's a widespread support for or against an agenda when there is not. AstroTurf seeks to manipulate you into changing your opinion by making you feel as if you are an outlier when you are not. We like to think of social media as a place where ideas are freely exchanged, where controversial voices and ideas can be heard, a fast-paced Wild West dynamic where manipulation of the message would be difficult to accomplish. But a peek behind the curtain exposes a reality that's far different. And the plain fact that people don't think they are as easily fooled on social media makes them easier to fool. In reality, the internet and social media have given AstroTurf campaigns the opportunity to flourish. While ideas may flow freely online, they are often anonymous, with no sense of who's actually behind the account. After all, it is easier to smear someone when you never have to show your face, or as it often turns out, you don't even have one, unquote. Although one cannot vouch for the veracity of all the writer's statements, we know for a fact that the judiciary has in the past been a victim of social media smear campaigns, and that criminal investigations revealed that fake accounts and pseudonyms were used to besmirch members of the judiciary. Fortunately, the media did not add fuel to the fire, and so the fake news did not gain the traction that the propagandists had hoped for. For this display of ethical journalism, which puts a high premium on verification of information in compliance with the press code, our journalists must be commended, and so I commend you. However, we should not drop our guard as misinformation continues to be an ever-pervasive threat. It behoves our journalists, regardless of the media agency or house to which they might be affiliated in whatever form, to respect the rights of individuals and, by extension, the right of the judiciary with accurate reporting practices. The rapid spread of false information before any remedial interventions can be made undermines both the credibility of the media and the judicial process. Journalists and other institutions, including the judiciary, face hacking, cyber attacks, and harassment online, which constitute an existential threat to our democracy. The reality is that despite constitutional safeguards, the media and the judiciary still face challenges emanating from the widespread use of digital platforms, as many individuals feel entitled to take advantage of anonymity by saying anything they wish, fact and fabrication alike, from behind a screen. What should we do about this? Our recourse is the Constitution. It remains the Constitution. These challenges require a fair balance between allowing technological innovation to flourish and safeguarding democratic principles like free speech. Although the right to freedom of expression is a cornerstone of our democracy and fosters informed public discourse and constructive debate, it is evident that there is still considerable contestation over the exercise of the right to freedom of expression. Section 16(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa protects the right and provides that everyone has the right to freedom of expression. Section 16(2) provides, however, that the right does not extend to three categories of excluded expression, namely propaganda for war, incitement of imminent violence, and the advocacy of hatred that is based on race, ethnicity, gender, or religion, and that constitutes incitement to cause harm, which is colloquially known as hate speech. Thanks to the judgments of the Constitutional Court, all courts are now consistent on the interpretation of this right. It is an added victory to freedom of speech that the Prevention and Combating of Hate Crimes and Hate Speech Act 16 of 2023 came into operation on 14 May 2024. One of its many objectives is to provide for the prosecution of persons who propagate hate speech. In terms of this act, any person who intentionally publishes, propagates, advocates, makes available, or communicates anything to one or more persons in a manner that could reasonably be construed to demonstrate a clear intention to be harmful or to incite harm and to promote or propagate hatred is guilty of an offense of hate speech. Although criminal prosecutions have in the past been instituted successfully based on other pieces of legislation, it is hoped that the express criminalization of hate speech in terms of this act will serve as a deterrent and stem the tide of fake news. Despite the challenges I have alluded to, some benefits have been derived from social media. A practice that has become common in many high-profile cases is for journalists and members of the public attending a hearing to use social media to share information about the legal proceedings on platforms like X and Facebook in real time. Live streaming of proceedings such as those of the State Capture Commission were beneficial, as the nation could, in real time, get a first-hand account of all allegations that were being made at that forum. This, to an extent, denied propagandists an opportunity of distorting facts on social media in between news bulletins. The useful side of social media platforms must therefore be embraced. Indeed, there have been instances in which it rightly put a spotlight on oppressive tendencies in other countries in which the right to freedom of expression does not enjoy the same protection as in our country. We should therefore be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Although transborder nature of the internet has in the past presented significant legislative and judicial challenges for legal and institutional frameworks in relation to complexities such as disinformation resulting from fake posts, cyber threats, and e-violence which results from trolling and hate speech, I believe that our Constitution, together with principles laid down in our country's press code and provisions of various statutes, have provided us with the necessary armaments to meet these challenges head-on. It is evident that judgments of the Constitutional Court, including the fairly recent judgment of Xwelani versus South African Human Rights Commission and another, serve as sufficient jurisprudential backdrop against which claims based on violation of rights in the digital space will be adjudicated. Recent judgments from our courts in respect of claims predicated on the violation of the right to freedom of expression through social media platforms attest to the fact that South African courts have managed to keep up with global developments in the digital space. Moreover, the conversations that the South African judges have with their counterparts from other jurisdictions at international seminars give us an opportunity to contextually scan the global environment, thereby assisting us in navigating some of these complexities by forging our own solutions which are in conformity with our constitutional values. It has also been gratifying to hear from our colleagues in other jurisdictions that some of the judgments of our courts here in South Africa have given them useful insights on how to resolve their own challenges in their countries. This means that South African courts are up there with those considered to be the best of the best in the world. From my point of view, there is no lacuna in the legislative framework as seen from the prism of our Constitution. Our courts have already demonstrated in a plethora of judgments that they continue to uphold free expression and that they take seriously the responsibility to protect the media from slap suits designed to impair their freedom of speech. No one should have the carte blanche to undermine our Bill of Rights with impunity. We are also aware that online access to information has resulted in many newspapers struggling to adapt to the new digital landscape, leading to a decline in print sales, which in turn led to the withdrawal of certain publications. And I will not say this is probably why you are having this fundraising. It is for this reason that there's a need for a fair allocation of state subsidies in the media markets to support independent media and for such allocation to be subject to judicial review. Today, I stand here to reaffirm that as the guardian of the rule of law, and by extension, the Constitution and the last line of defense, the judiciary is fully committed to its role in supporting media freedom. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I consider it to be incumbent on all of us to ensure that the information we share is accurate, helpful, and aimed at the development of society instead of polarizing it. We know that your job as journalists, the job that you do as journalists is no small feat. As foot soldiers on the ground, we urge you to continue to follow your vocation and help us create a society that will stay on track and not allow our nation to be sidetracked by malicious individuals who have an agenda to misuse social media platforms by peddling narratives that are intended to destabilize our democracy. I trust that this speech has reaffirmed the judiciary's commitment to the protection of the right to media freedom, and that those who seek to abuse that right will be held accountable. This augurs well for the achievement of the 17 United Nations Social Development Goals to be achieved by 2030. It bears reiterating today that opinion number 7, which was issued by the Consultative Council of European Judges, noted that the media can sometimes intrude on people's privacy, damaging their reputation or undermining the presumption of their innocence. My gentle reminder to you is that as journalists, you are enjoined to be impartial. I dare say that in that role, you have less constraints than judges when it comes to speaking out. That said, in telling it like it is, be careful not to use your pen or keyboard to unjustifiably publish information that is bound to harm or destroy. I thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Justice Molimela. I'm tempted to say thank you for the wonderful and measured address that you gave us, but I think I would be doing it a disservice calling it an address. It was more of an exposition on the theme that we gave you tonight. And anybody who disagrees with me must go to her referencing, and then we can have the debate when we are done. I mean, I don't think I've had a keynote that has been as referenced as yours was. Clearly, this is the reason why you are the president of the Supreme Court of Appeal. Let's give her a round of applause once again. Before we get into our dinner, I want to acknowledge the presence of some of our colleagues and partners in the room. Emmanuel Dogbevi, who is the Deputy Chair of TAIEF, is one of our guests tonight. Emmanuel, we want to acknowledge your presence. We also have with us a team from the Birmingham Investigative Team. They're in the country for the African Investigative Journalism Conference, which kicks off at Wits University. But we just want to acknowledge them. The team from Birmingham Investigative the Birmingham Investigative Team, can you raise your hands so we just give you a warm welcome? All right, there they are right at the back. Of course, they do really incredible work when it comes to investigative journalism, especially on some of the global issues that we confront. On that note, I know you're more than ready for it. Dinner is officially served. And then, of course, we get to the best part of the night, which is dessert. But not quite yet. For now, dinner is officially served. Please eat quickly because we started the program late. 9 o'clock, dessert is served, whether or not you're done with your dinner. All right, I'm teasing. At 9:05, dessert will be served. Enjoy your main course.
It behoves us to demonstrate leadership by teaching young boys proper values.
You are a presence of the spiritual in the physical. You are the cord, the cable that connects the past and the future.
call me Coke for short. I entered this country without a passport. Ever since then, I made lots of scum rich. Some have been murdered and found in a ditch. I'm more valued than diamonds, more treasured than gold. Use me just one time and you too will be sold. On the 5th of May this year, I celebrated 12 years clean time from crack cocaine, ecstasy, and alcohol.
Can't define a man based on the complaints that comes from society. I can only define men when another man who stands truthfully as a man tells me, this is what a man looks like.
Sociology, economics, and education are like staple food. They have to be homegrown. You won't cook the best tripe if you've never eaten it.
We need to organize ourselves and fund such programs everywhere to make sure that we deliberately and intentionally build society.
South Africa, where stories of masculinity are often built on fear and violence and pain, the Fourth Estate, with its pen and its voice, continues to be a mirror and guide to these stories. We thank the editors and the newsrooms for supporting Empower Men in amplifying the voice of healthy masculinity, for being true allies to this movement that we have built. And now we invite you, all present, the public and private sectors, the judiciary and the media at large, to join us as we convene 3,000 men on the 16th of November in Johannesburg as we all reshape new futures and realities by redefining modern masculinity.
As the CEO of the Gender-Based Violence Response Fund, I'm proud to be associated with this conference.
It's time to elevate a standard and to raise the bar of excellence, because you and I possess the capacity and the capability to achieve anything that we like to achieve.
Admit that you need help.
And our boys need that affirmation, but they don't get it because their parents didn't get it themselves.
We're going to make sure that from today, we together, the boy child that is 80 and the boy child that is 22, we're going to work together to save our future leaders.
Failing is an event. Failing is not a destiny. Failing doesn't define who you are. It's okay to start again in life.
The mere fact that you have a wound, my brother, it means that you overcame that which tried to kill you.
We look forward to hosting you.
So please call your friends, your relatives, call Amachita to come and share the stories we had here today.
Can we give a warm round of applause to the Marcus Wyatt Band, please? You've been doing a great job of making sure that the mood and the energy in the room is just right for tonight. We're going to continue into the last half of our program, ladies and gentlemen. And first, let me start. Do I have everybody's attention in the room? Is everybody in the room with me? I'm not continuing until I'm convinced. Yes, of course, the people in the front are. People in the middle, are we together? People at the back, are we together? Although there's a front table somewhere here that is not with me, somewhere this side, lots of human noise is coming. So we're going to get into the final part of our program. And before I get into it, let me just slight correction on my part. It must have been the nerves, but the team from Burlingcat, I do apologize. I understand I said Burlingham. It's because I was really hungry, but now that I've eaten, my senses are back where they all need to be. Thank you. I also want to say that in a moment I'm going to be doing something fun, which is, you know what we all love? Freebies, right? Don't we all love a good freebie? I can't guarantee that they are good, but I can guarantee that we will be giving some away. So we're going to be giving some prizes away in a moment. Before I get to it though, because we have been acknowledging our sponsors throughout the evening, I'm going to ask that everybody, please, if you're about to put that fork into your mouth, I need you to put it down. Turn your attention to the screen. Why? Because all of this, the wine has already started flowing here in the front. I'm going to ask you to turn your eyes to the screen, because all of our sponsors have really done their bit to make sure that tonight is possible. And they went over and above that with the effort of these videos. So please, can we cue all the videos from our sponsors tonight?
Oh, how so many know so little.
About where we are all coming from.
And how things
Used to be. Where life as we're living it was nothing but a dream.
How we could not live.
Where we live.
How we live.
And why we live. How we couldn't love.
Who we love. What we love.
And how we love.
How the challenges we are currently facing
Are just a drop in the ocean.
to the challenges we used to face
How what we have accomplished,
could have never been accomplished.
how even though it might not seem that way,
We have come really far
in leaps and bounds.
for us to be where we are right now.
Be proud to be South African.
Be proud of who we are.
Because you
And our beautiful country.
are in a way better place by far.
Oh, South Africa. South Africa.
It behoves us to demonstrate leadership by teaching young boys proper values.
You are a presence of the spiritual in the physical. You are the cord, the cable that connects the past and the future.
It's cocaine
call me Coke for short. I entered this country without a passport. Ever since then, I made lots of scum rich. Some have been murdered and found in a ditch. I'm more valued than diamonds, more treasured than gold. Use me just one time and you too will be sold. On the 5th of May this year, I celebrated 12 years clean time from crack cocaine, ecstasy, and alcohol.
Can't define a man based on the complaints that comes from society. I can only define men when another man who stands truthfully as a man tells me, this is what a man looks like.
Sociology, economics, and education are like staple food. They have to be homegrown. You won't cook the best tripe if you've never eaten it.
We need to organize ourselves and fund such programs everywhere to make sure that we deliberately and intentionally build society.
South Africa, where stories of masculinity are often built on fear and violence and pain, the Fourth Estate, with its pen and its voice, continues to be a mirror and guide to these stories. We thank the editors and the newsrooms for supporting Empower Men in amplifying the voice of healthy masculinity, for being true allies to this movement that we have built. And now we invite you, all present, the public and private sectors, the judiciary and the media at large, to join us as we convene 3,000 men on the 16th of November in Johannesburg as we all reshape new futures and realities by redefining modern masculinity.
As the CEO of the Gender-Based Violence Response Fund, I'm proud to be associated with this conference.
It's time to elevate a standard and to raise the bar of excellence, because you and I possess the capacity and the capability to achieve anything that we like to achieve.
Admit that you need help.
And our boys need that affirmation, but they don't get it because their parents didn't get it themselves.
We're going to make sure that from today, we together, the boy child that is 80 and the boy child that is 22, we're going to work together to save our future leaders.
Failing is an event. Failing is not a destiny. Failing doesn't define who you are. It's okay to start again in life.
The mere fact that you have a wound, my brother, it means that you overcame that which tried to kill you.
We look forward to hosting you.
So please call your friends, your relatives, call Amachita to come and share the stories we had here today.
All right, so there we have Brand South Africa and Empower Works, both of them also part of our sponsors for tonight. Okay, I'm going to come down because we're ready to have a little bit of fun before we wrap up the night. I'm not Oprah, so I can't say, you get a car, you get a car, everybody gets a car. I can't even say everybody gets a gift. That's just because I'm not Oprah. But I will say, if you look under your table, look under your table. I love it. The lady on this table, she was like, I am not looking under this table. Good on you, girl. Okay, on a more serious note, it's not under your table. I know it's not under your chair, but if you stand up, it could be under your cushion. So now we all have to see the people who went to school and know the difference between a chair and the cushion. So, if you look under your cushion, oh, we already have a winner. There we go. There we have another. Here are the winners popping up in the room. Wonderful. Dr. Rems. Well, here we go. So, as you can see, this was a very fair process. For everybody that has got an envelope, please keep it raised up. Mr. Rems Mabut, tell me, what does your envelope say?
It says a cheese board from Brand SA.
A cheese board from Brand SA. Brand SA, I hope it comes with the cheese as well. Who else has an envelope? Here we go. Yes, ma'am. Your name and which organization are you from?
Ntabi Singh from Discovery.
Hello, Ntabi Singh from Discovery. Thank you, Discovery, for being one of our sponsors this year. Well, as far as coincidences go, I can confirm this is not how we planned this. But do tell us what your prize is.
It's 2 books. One of them is from Themba Sipotokele and Rams Mabote, who's right.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Okay, let me come this side. A bunch of winners. Ma'am, what's your name? Which organization are you from?
My name is Ndogozo Mazibuko, and I'm from Airports Company, South Africa.
Airports Company, South Africa, represented in the room tonight. And what is your prize? How the rest of the teammates are not even clapping hands for her. King, are we upset that we don't have our own envelopes?
I've won a hamper from Hollard.
A hamper from Hollard. I hope it comes with free life cover. Let me see. Yes, my lady. Which organization are you from? And your name, please.
I am the one and only Amanda Koza.
Amanda Koza in the house.
I won 2 books, one from Rams and another one from Themba.
So basically, Rams and Themba deserve to be the subsidiary sponsors of tonight's dinner. Let's see, where are my other prizes? Oh, shame, you're waiting here, waiting for the microphone. Yes, ma'am.
Mutiehi Mulekwa from Magna Carta.
Let's give a round of applause to Magna Carta.
So it's 2 books, one from Rams and another one from Themba.
Kanti, was this a tender? There's a hand on this. Are there 2 prizes on this table? Oh, geez, which table is this? Where are you guys from?
EWN.
You see, I knew that there was an issue, conflict of interest.
I got something from SAB.
SAB. Are you complaining or not complaining?
Not at all.
Congratulations. And you, sir?
I a Sandton City shopping voucher.
A Sandton City shopping voucher. And who is it from?
Minar.
Thank you so much, Minar. So you all know what to do, right? Find Nkululeko, find Mpumelelo rather, and befriend him. Because clearly there's a lot happening at Minar. Next year, can we all get Sandton shopping vouchers? Please help me become like Oprah. Yes. Who are you, my lady? And sorry, guys, this happens to be one of my good friends. So that's why everybody on the table is stunned. Yes, ma'am, for the purpose of the podcast, what is your name and which organization do you represent?
Okay, my name is Zaz Molo. I represent the amazing organization EmpowerWorks that is inviting you to empower men on the 16th of November. And I won a prize, seeing that it's almost end of the year. A hamper from South African breweries.
Thank you so much to South African breweries. Okay, okay. Now everybody wants to be able, and because in the words of the Judge President, we must be fair and impartial and hear both sides of the story. So now I have to hear all sides of the story. Yes, sir.
Funny,
Ntlama from EmpowerWorks, and I won a chessboard.
You want a cheese board. I think you and Rems should have a cheese party and invite all of us. And like I say, oh wait, here we go. I hope it comes with free cheese. Yes, sir. Who is the winner of this prize? You two are sharing it. It's like they're passing on. It's you. No, you won. Let's make this easy. On which chair was it found? It was found on this chair. All right, sir. So you are the winner of this prize. What is your name, sir?
My name is Ricardo van Roy. I'm from NR, and what I won was one hamper from Holland.
No shopping voucher for you, ne? So go speak to your boss. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I am Noktula Dlamini from Brand SA, and I won a cheese board from Brand SA.
So basically, you won your own cheese board.
So I'd like to gift it to one of the guests, because it's from Brand SA.
Wonderful. And I've been asking, does it come with cheese?
Unfortunately not.
People are going to have to cover their own cheese. Thank you so much, Brand SA. And we'll see who wants a free cheese board. Okay, the lady in red was the first. Ma'am, it's a cheese board. And it's all yours now. You deserve it with that scream. Yes.
Hi, Katie. Can I please hug you first before I announce my...
You want to hug me first? Is this out of excitement and love?
I love you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Thank you. I'm Prof. Letty Wenza Masitole from UJ, but today I'm FNB because of my husband. We've won a 2-night stay for two at Man Praise Hotel and Spa in Magaliesburg. Thank you so much.
No, there's a story. This must be investigated. We're the investigative journalists in the room. What are the chances? Well, congratulations, Prof, to you and your husband. Okay, this is the final one we're doing for the night. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Sim. I won a cheese board from Brand SA.
Brand SA, thank you so much for the cheese boards. I think we're closer to getting a cheese board for everybody than we are to getting shopping vouchers. Let's give all our sponsors a warm round of applause, please. Thank you, everybody, for participating in our spot prize. It really brings us towards the end of our evening. And I'm going to ask our host tonight to, in the same fashion that they welcomed us and opened the evening for us, to come to the stage and officially close the proceedings. Without wasting time, please help me welcome the Secretary General of the South African National Editors Forum, Dr. Glenda Daniels. Please give a warm round of applause as she comes up.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I mean, you've been welcomed already, but thank you so much for being here. You're all here because you support our Constitution. We are really, really fortunate in South Africa to have the freedom that we do. And I would like to thank a couple of people. Of course, thank you all for being here, because you support us at SANEF, and where would we be without you? A special thanks to the President, Judge President of the SCA, Justice Molamela. Your speech was fabulous, so well thought out, so reflective, and we really thank you for that. To our platinum sponsors, APSA, where are they? You can put your hand up. Yay, thank you, APSA. You've been doing this for many years in a row, and we're very grateful. Mr. Sydney Mbele, Mr. Stephen Zwane, thank you for representing APSA here. To MENA, where is our dear Mpumelela Mkabele? Yay, thank you, Mpumi. Thanks very much for being a gold sponsor. Brand SA, our silver sponsor, Matalani Ngobeni, thank you very much. Where are you? Yay, thanks so much. And then we have Hollard, the silver sponsors, Alistair Kanye, Head of Brand Communications. EmpowerWorks, bronze sponsors. We're very grateful to EmpowerWorks. We have heard a lot from you this evening. Sibongele Ngwanga, thank you so much. And then I would like to also acknowledge Maria Machadisa, Todd Machadisa's daughter. Could we see you, please? Thank you for being here. Your father, Todd Machadisa, was an extremely important icon in our industry. Finally, to our office, Reg Malusi, where are you? And Zudzi and Hopel, thank you so much for putting together a fabulous show. Thank you, everybody. Now don't go just because I said the thank yous. We are now going to have dessert. You're going to finish your bottles of wine on the table and enjoy the music. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for those concluding remarks, Glenda. And I must add, especially for our sponsors tonight, there is a dedicated cameraman, I'm told, outside who is ready to take pictures of everybody, free of charge. But make sure you're the first in line. Otherwise, if you're not there by the time the cut-off for his services arrives, you might not get any pictures. And I'm told he'll be leaving at exactly 20 to 10. So I'm teasing, guys. He's here, he's outside. Please, as we network throughout the evening, go outside, especially our sponsors. Make sure you get pictures taken with the officials of SANEF. Also buy your banners. Nedbank tried to help me become Oprah. They didn't quite succeed, but it is a start, Nedbank. Thanks for the start, Nedbank, but next year, we expect you to join in when other children are joining in, not get on the train as it's moving. Nonetheless, because we are grateful, I have an extra prize. Who's ready to win? Okay, I don't know how I'm going to manage this. So, the first person on their feet is the one I'll give an opportunity to answer. No, ma'am, the competition is not even open yet. You cannot be standing up. Please sit down. Thank you. So, the first person on their feet that does not include Rams and everybody else at the back that's standing, we'll then give maybe an opportunity for 2 people. So I guess we'll keep rolling it until somebody gets the right answer. But you should have the right answer. Nedbank is giving away a field bar. I had to ask what it is. It's a really fancy contraption that you can travel around with everywhere to put your drinks inside. It's called a field bar, not a cooler box, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a cooler box. So, my question is, and the SANEF people are not allowed to answer, they're not even allowed to help with answers. Who is the executive director of SANEF? Okay, she was up first. Yes, ma'am. Who is the executive director of SANEF? Yes, stand up. Who? It's taking. Your answer is taking, ma'am. We've moved on. There was a hand at the back. It was the lady in the gold dress. Yes, ma'am, from Brenda say. No, the other lady in the gold dress. Yes, her hand was up with the first lady. The executive director of SANEF, ma'am. Reggie who? Moalusi, Reggie Moalusi, thank you so much. You walk away with the Nedbank Field Bar. Wow, a step up from your cheese board. Hey, congratulations to you. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, thank you all for coming out tonight and choosing to spend the evening with us. I trust it was good for you as it was for us. And hopefully we'll be seeing each other again at the next fundraiser. Remember that tonight is not just about the free drinks, the free dinner, while somebody's paying for it. But the greater cause behind it is so that journalists can continue to do the work that they do. Don't forget that at the end of the day, that's what evenings like today are about. And we look forward to your continued support in that pursuit. Have a lovely evening. Dessert is served. Until the next time.